What up, everybody? It is Josh Thomas, aka TFS Up North, here with another Fanshare Sports first look for the Workday Charity Open. We are at Muirfield Village, Jack's course in Ohio for the next 2 weeks, which is crazy to think about, right? This is the first time in my memory that we're playing back-to-back weeks at the same course. And they're actually going to try to maybe, at least from the rumors that we're hearing, is they're going to try to set it up a little bit differently for each week. And then we're going to have, pretty different fields. This week we have a somewhat strong field, but next week's going to be very strong, as, typically is at the Memorial, with Jack getting everybody to come and play. So we got a little bit of a new look this week for the Fanshare Sports first look. I'm excited about that. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on at Fanshare Sports. So again, exciting times. Maybe it seems like every week we have something new coming out, right? We had the showdown model a couple weeks ago, which has been awesome. We've seen guys have some great success there, and then now we have the new form guide from DKDFS Strength that includes strokes gained data. And what's really nice about it is that's super easy to look at and read. So you can see Webb Simpson's trending up or Victor Hovland's trending down and around the green because he's terrible. But it seems like every single week we have something really new and exciting coming out. And beyond that, just the content that we provide with, my Taking the Pulse GPP article, that under the radar value plays that Lee has every week, which absolutely crushed last week. And then on top of that, you get the bonus ownership projections in the game. If you were a part of this last month, you got the free all of June until June 30th. Now you got to use that code Josh for 20% off if you want to become a Fanshare Pro. Get in. You are missing out if you are not using this. Again, looking at last week, it comes down to ownership 99.9% of the time, right? Golfers are good golfers are good golfers are good golfers. The one thing that we can control is the ownership. Get in, get access to that great ownership data, see who everybody else is on, and go from there. So again, like I said, exciting times at Fanshare. So let's talk about the course this week. The Workday Charity Open is going to be hosted at Muirfield Village Country Club for the first time. This is I believe the John Deere Open spot. They are here at Muirfield. In Ohio, par 72, 74.56. That number, if you remember this course from last year, is a little bit longer. What they've done is that they've added some new tees to number 8, 11, and 15, and that's added 67 yards to the total length of the course. So they're making it a little bit longer. Not that the thing about this course is that 74 isn't even that long to begin with. I mean, look at a guy like Bryson; it's not long at all. But the thing about it is that there's a lot of Jack did a very nice job here of cross bunkering. You're going to see literally guys who on, there's 14 driver holes here. There are be guys that hit 3-wood or less on over half of these holes just because there's a premium placed by putting it in the fairway. All right. We have a ton of acreage of fairway here. The fairways are somewhat easy to hit. All right. Typically what we see is that you need to put it in the fairway because the rough is so long. Right now, from what the golf course superintendents are saying, is that Kentucky Bluegrass fescue mix in the rough is only going to play at 3 inches this week. I'm expecting that we're going to see it at 3 inches this week, and they're going to let it grow. All right. And by next week, we're going to see that at 4.5. All right. So that's where I think you're going to see the big difference between this week and next week with playing at the same courses. And my assumption is that they're really going to let that rough grow up. So you might be able to get away here with being a little bit off balance on the tee. All right. But the issue again is if you get off balance off the tee is not necessarily the rough. It's that the ball sort of funnels into these fairway bunkers. All right. And now there's new fairway bunkers on it on 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, and 18. That's an issue, right? That's going to be, it's going to definitely come into play this week. So I think that, you want a good mix of length here, but you also want a good mix of, you just want to look for guys who are going to be in the fairways. And the other reason that you really want to be in the fairway here is that these greens are itty bitty. All right. They are 5,000 square feet. It's not like RBC Heritage size, but they are small. And not only are they small, as they are extremely undulating. All right. So you're going to see big swingers big left to right, big right to left, up and down. All like these greens are crazy here. These complexes are very intense. That's where I think there's a big premium on having played here before, which I'm kind of surprised that, with Memorial being the prestigious event that it is, we're not seeing more of the studs play this week to get used to the course and now hopefully be in better shape come the following week at the Memorial. But hey, I understand it. This time it's not only do we have a pandemic going on, but you want to be with your family and friends and things like that too. We do have bent grass and POA, which is not a super common mixture in the Midwest, but similar to last week, right? A little more bent here than POA. Last week we saw a little bit more POA than bent. It's hard to, depending on the time of year, what grasses creep in, things like that. So that's why we always, have them say it as a mix, but fairways, bent POA as well. Tons, and like I said, lots of fairway bunkers, but tons of bunkers around these greens. Again, they're small complexes. They're very undulating, and there are a massive amount of bunkers around them. All right. So premium placed on hitting it onto the green. Good sand players typically do well here. We saw Patrick Cantlay, who earlier in his career really struggled out of the bunkers, play really well out of the bunkers here last year en route to a win at Memorial. 13 water hazards. Water is in play on 13 holes. So we will see the double bogeys show up. All right. We look at previous winners here. Cantlay got to 19 last year, 2 strokes better than Adam Scott. Typically, though, we're looking at this like 15, 14, 13 range. This is the previous winners from the Memorial. All right. So this is the first year ever of the Workday Charity Open. So, we're dealing with the same course. It's the same time of year. It's just a little bit different, right? So Cantlay, Bryson beating my boy Benny on in a playoff. Kyle Stanley popping here. Hey, I missed the cut last week. Everybody was on him. Jason Duffner, winner here over Fowler and Lahiri. And then, 15, 16, just randomness. Like David Lingmerth beat Justin Rose. I don't know how the heck that happened. Willie McGirt, Dirt McGirt, great iron player, beat John Curran. What you see here, though, is Cantlay. Deschambeau, not really, but Duffner, McGirt, Lingmerth, Matsuyama, Kuchar. Even then on the other side, Scott, Stanley, Fowler, Rose, all great second shot players. I really view this as like a second shot course. So that strokes gained approach, we want to see guys who are trending in the upwards direction with their strokes gained approach. If you're looking at DKDFS strengths, new sheets, new form guides. All right. Matsuyama, former winner here over Kevin Na. Really like him this week. Looking at kind of how the course played last year, what we see is there's 26 eagles, 1440 birdies. We talked about last week in this video was that if the birdies are about double the bogeys, that's a very easy course. Well, you look at here, it's 1448 for birdies, 1100 bogeys, so closer. And then you add in the doubles and the others, and we're even closer yet. So par, I think, is a very good score here. Average score last year was about even par. We look at some of how it played each day. The first day played 0.5 strokes over par. Round 2 played under. Round 3 played under, and then round 4 played right about even. So again, even though Patrick Cantlay shot -19, even par is a pretty good score here. There's going to be there's going to be birdies, there's going to be bogeys. It's going to be a tough test. And you know what? We might see it play a little bit easier this year just because, that rough isn't going to be as long. When we look at some of the hole lengths for this week, that long par 3, right? Again, when we talk about a second shot course, we talk about these long irons, and I always kind of like to dial in on like who scores on these long par 3s. If you're scoring on long par 3s, you're going to be good at these second shot type courses. All right. Long par 3 is really anything over like 180 yards. Not a lot of short par 4s, medium, but then these long par 4s, again, I think there's correlation there between long par 3s and long par 4s. All right. And then 4 short par 4s. But again, we look back, you see not a lot of eagle opportunities. So despite having, these 4 short par 4s, there's not a lot of eagle opportunities. Again, we talked about how wide the fairways are here. That plays out in that you have the third most amount of fairway strokes per round. Rough strokes are up there too. Sand, 2.32, decent amount, and average of 27 putts here. Again, when you have these smaller greens, you're not seeing as many 2 or 3 putts because you're just so much closer to the hole. We look at approach strength, approach stroke distances. What we see is, and again, because of the long par threes and long par fours, we're going to see a 6% increase above average in approach strokes from 175 to 200. So if that's something you want to look at, again, I tend to try to look at long par threes instead of actual broken down by the actual distance, but definitely something to look at. And then we have less approach strokes from over 200 plus yards than normal. Look at some of the guys' history here. All right. What I like to do is, obviously there's one-offs and things like that, but Patrick Cantlay, 3 appearances, average is 109 DK points, obviously has won, but and this is just over the last 5 appearances here. So like you look at a guy like Hideki Matsuyama, who's really crushed here over the years. Well, going back 5 years is only to 2015. Well, he won here in 2013. So we're not including his 2013 win, but in his last 5 appearances, typically he's really crushed, which is, good to see. Joaquin Neiman, 2 appearances. Hey, he might be interesting. Benny On has had a lot of success here. He had a runner-up finish. Justin Rose, 9,700 this week, I think is very interesting. In 3 appearances, has played really well here. Tigers won here 5 times. We're not going to see him this week. Hey, maybe next week. I would assume that's where we're going to see him. A name that really jumped out, 2 names that actually really jumped out to me here when I was looking at this, though, earlier, was Mark Leishman, who has really crushed here over the years, 82 points. On average, and then Grillo. Grillo started off so hot last week. He was in Lee's under the radar pick, and then sort of tapered off as the week went on and struggled a little bit. But I think that I will jump right back on the Grillo train this week. I think he is extremely interesting. Now we look at this list of 15 guys. What do they all have in common? Elite second shot players. Cantlay, great approach game. Keimer, Rose. Hollywood Hoagie has a great approach game. He only had 1 appearance here last year, but David Lingmerth, not long off the tee, but his approach games is unreal. Streels, Benny On, elite approach game. Duffner, elite second shot player. Neiman, elite approach game. Watson, great approach game. Bo Van Pelt in the field this week, playing some decent golf. Snake me if I'm wrong, but I thought he made the cut last week. Leishman, great approach game. Hideki Matsuyama, maybe the best on tour. Grillo, one of the best on tour. Stanley, one of the best on tour. So again, it feeds into this narrative that Muirfield is a very much a second shot course. And that's the type of player that you need to look for. All right. So my picks for this week. All right. I'm going back to the Decky train. I love the price tag on him. I think that at 10K, he's below that top tier of guys. I think he's very interesting. Wasn't great to start the week, but gained almost 5 strokes approach on the weekend. So his game is really in good shape. I think Hovland's going to be crazy owned this week. And my concern with Hovland is that if there's so much, you see a guy like Decky who's got a great approach game, but not only does he have a great approach game, he's got a great around the green game. If he is chipping, he's more likely to make a chip than he is a putt most weeks, right? So that's why I like a guy like that on these small greens with these bunker complexes. If you're struggling around the greens, you're going to be in trouble. I think Hovland, just based on his performance lately and his price tag of I think he's 93 or 9,500, he's going to become extremely popular this week. It's already borne out in our tags. He's leading tags so far this week with Justin Rose. But Hovland is going to be a chalk play that I'm going to try to avoid and just hope that maybe his iron game isn't as great, and now he has to rely on that around the green game, and his around the green game is atrocious. And my sleeper pick is just a guy that I noticed, scrolling through the field. Nick Taylor returns this week. Canadian, won at AT&T Pebble Beach earlier this year. He's priced under 7K, right? So Taylor is a winner, a guy who can make birdies, unreal approach game. If he putts it all, he's in great shape. So definitely a guy that I can see as right now a sleeper. Now could come, everybody feels this way, and we could be here sitting here on Thursday, you're watching this video, and I look like an idiot touting a guy that's 15-20% owned at 6.9K or whatever he is. But I really like Nick Taylor. Canadians typically sort of come down in the Midwest and play very well. I think that Taylor's going to be under-owned and a really high upside play in this range. So again, if you, as always, give us a follow on Twitter. I'm at DFS Up North. You can follow Fanshare Sports, Lee at DK Golf Bargains, Lunas for that showdown model. Again, that is worth the price of admission right there. If you are playing showdown contests and you are not utilizing Lunas's showdown model, you are doing it wrong. And then DK DFS Strength with that new form guide. I got a chance to dive into it last week. It was awesome. I'm excited to get even deeper this week. Again, but all this stuff is behind the paywall, right? We gave you a month free. What were you doing? Now you got to pay up, right? Use that code Josh, 20% off, fansharesports.com. Gets you in, get in for July. Be ready for the majors coming August. We got a great stretch of golf coming up here, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So see you with those green screens on Sunday. Cheers, boys.